One, two, three. One, two, three. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, let's do this. Now, peace, folks. Uh, 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 Here's another one. Here's yours truly. No, I'm talking about me. Not somebody else. Then I don't have to wear this when I'm by myself or in a company of from 5 to 10 other persons. I'm really in my own pad at the moment by myself. How you all doing, peeps, folks, everybody, my social media family, and any visitors to my own personal chat room and or channel? Disregard whatever interruptions you may hear in the background. No, I'm not talking about or making reference to any sounds coming from any electronic devices or medium, but rather any proverbial neighbors from hell, being of whom could possibly remind me of or have me reflect upon, certain characters otherwise, and there's more than quite a few of them are moonlighting as some of such obnoxious or negative internet trolls themselves, and not to mention as crank callers and or stalkers for that matter. And whereas I have a zero tolerance level for them or they themselves, likewise as well, or all the same. Yes, how is everybody doing? My social media family being of whatsoever, social media family and visitors to my own personal chat room and our channel of whatsoever races and of both of the two sexual genders of males and females, representing not only that being of the human species, but then nevertheless the global community within this post 911 era of a new millennium apocalyptic day and age. And whereas the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight compared to our formerly previous prior to then was at something like a quarter to midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times. The doomsday clock being that of the proposed scenarios, hypothetical theorized war games being played in preparation for World War III for the remaining superpowers upon that virtual reality. Until then, hopefully it will never become reality anytime too soon. But then God has the overall say upon matters for anyone and anything. Okay. Other than that, getting back to some such other, vice versa. So far as in greeting you all, and with though any visitors to my own personal channel or chat room and our channel can or could possibly be Well, so I say, regardless of whether or not that my person I'm speaking correct, proper standard English grammar of the American dialect of some or such quality and quantities or not. And as I think of it with that in my mind's attention, try to backtrack here with no purpose of being, or else I can go on to follow and to continue from where and when that my person had last left off, so I can finish up as in complete a form previous prior line thought in there. And or in the same sense of word, was any visitors to my own personal chat room and or channel may or could possibly become or be of whatsoever, whatever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences. But then any of my social media family of members, of subscribers cannot become or be. And even if they were to be of the likes unbeknownst, could have possibly come or be of the likes unbeknownst to me, myself, or that of my person, just as long as they don't come into my personal chat room and or channel and be coming off like some source or types of obnoxious and or negative internet trolls, then we won't have a problem. Then, because very few of the likes being of whom I block, do I permit re-entry status for my own domain. Then, because most I block them permanently. Being because for the simple reason and purpose for my having said so, you know, is to inform that your persons how that life is too short, for believers and unbelievers and non-believers alike, than to permit some or such of an idiot and or sicko stuck on stupid, not to mention attempting to have another person stoop to one's level of coming off like a cuckoo cocoa pops, crackpot, crank, or nutcase, whereas life is too short than to permit somebody else or the likes of their kind to take hostages or to make another person to be taken captive or to become a prisoner of their own rather twisted, warped, wicked mindset. And I don't have to go there today. There are times I may stoop to the level of someone or such one of that nature, but hopefully never altogether. I mean, after all, not all of us humans can or could possibly seem like we have lost more than half our marbles. See, there is where the trouble lies. When a person of whatsoever race or whatever walk of life, faction of societal lifestyle preference, lose more than half one's marbles, and then it's off to the races. No telling what could happen to you from there, because now, once you do that, you have removed that of a level of restraints that will prove to become or be in your better interest as you are working against yourself. And at times we can or could possibly become or be not just our own worst, but our own worstest enemy more than anybody else can or could possibly attempt to prove, oneself to be calm or be onto another person. It's how you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet to be said, or rather, not best of all to be said, to be feeling blessed and stressed. More blessed and stressed, or too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and yours, your family and friends, hopefully me and mine likewise as well, are all the same. But then whatsoever, or whatever I can speak upon, be it a one issue at hand, be it a controversy or not, be it of an issue that plagues any given society, country, or nation that has yet to be resolved, if it has not been resolved already or not, or be I were to speak upon a couple, few, or four more topics of discussions to be debated, or arguments with the many different views and opinions to be affiliated, associated with, and representing some and such thereof. But then don't kill the messenger. I'm just here to deliver, I mean, after all, I'm not as big as a certain particular dotard former ex presidency or president of the USA who had most recently had gotten acquitted for the second impeachment trial, and being which is the title for this present social media broadcast or video. If you were to take a look at what's up ahead of it or the title thereof or above to describe it for what it is worth. And if I were to engage in a Q&A session at the moment with anybody that could pay a visit to that being of my own domain, regardless of whether if it be that you're a member of my social media family or what few subscribers, but then I need 4,000 subscribers in order for reason or purposes being of which is to get paid to be given an incentive to compose some of such, you know, social media broadcasts or videos of my own of a secular nature. Otherwise, I'm not doing it, you know. Whereas for now, you know, the majority of most of my present social media videos, social media broadcasts or videos, or whatever I said, will be of a supernatural, religious, or spiritual nature. Anyway, getting back to what I was trying to say before I lose my train of thought. Whereas something about if any social media family members or visitors come to my channel, then respect it, okay, and I won't have to block you. And if I do block you, then I would like to think that you would be put in a temporary block list, or upon that one, then a permanent one to be possibly considered. Okay. And as I think of it with that in my mind, it's intention to backtrack here with purpose of being. In order to go on with following to continue from where and when that my personal last left off so I can finish up as a complete a form free fire line of thought. Once again I say. I mean, after all, I'm not a certain president of the USA, you know, who some what is it, transvestite or hermaphrodite of a wannabe news reporter or news journalist of of a comedian or stand-up comic would want to, you know, compose and post a video with a former ex-president of the USA's head being decapitated from his shoulders or being, you know, cut off at the nib or chopped off like in a French guillotine at the hands of a what they call them guys that chop off other person's heads with an axe blade. I forgot. But anyway, though, so I haven't really gotten to some such a level of popularity where you could possibly come into my personal chat room and our channel and be your wit, some such homies or not, where you want to diss me so much. I mean, please don't come in here and do that. I say this more for your sake than mine, because I'm not having it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know about somebody else, but I have a life, Even if I don't have much of a life at the moment, but I have a life more than some of me. Anybody that's trying to think in a positive note of interest, regardless of what one's educational or economic status may be in, or etc., is much better off than some kind of an obvious, obnoxious, and evident internet troll. Quit feeding the inner werewolf or inner vampire. Get real and get a life. Get a new lease on life by letting all that other go. You hear what I'm saying? Well, so I say, and hopefully with that much less of a thought to romance, employing the usages of expedience of profanity much rather than instead of using that much more cuss words to simply say. You know. So if you have something to say yourselves, then respect my domain, so that we won't have to come to terms otherwise. Okay? Yes. Other than that, I think I have gotten pretty much so the basic intro as an introduction or preliminaries out the way again. From there, I should just begin to speak upon, something, be it something that I mentioned earlier or something similar or something altogether different. Or whatever the case, let me get the bouncing ball of conversation or dialogue to rolling. Okay, and first of all, by that my person's saying, and I'm sorry I didn't get on here much earlier. I had quite a bit of household cleaning chores to, touch up. That is to make sure that my unit's atmosphere place of residence will come up to par with what the management of the building is, requiring as well as recommending so that I myself won't have to possibly hit the pavement of a concrete or cement sidewalk trying to find somewhere else where I could stay or live to keep from Mother Nature or the elements otherwise giving me possibly one of those 1-2 Muhammad Ali knockout punches or 1-2 Mike Tyson knockout punches. Because I have never been homeless by choice. And I'm not trying to go there. Maybe a long time in coming if and when, or better yet to be said, if at all. And I pity those people or persons who are suffering from what would be commonly called and uncommonly known, if you look at it from one point of view, not another, among others who have, known me to put it like this here and given it a nickname or that of a status or label or diagnosis of being the homeless disease, and it should be put in the category of or classified as that being a disease, then because it has some really negative symptoms that has to be, remedied, that has to be treated and hopefully cured. You know, I don't know of any president as yet that has, reduced the symptoms so much more or cured the homeless disease. Yeah. So after I took care of the necessary business at hand, then and only then was I able to finally, among other things, to finally think about with a serious mind's intentions to do another social media broadcast and video of mine. And this one is on Mr. Donald Dotard Duck, being Mr. Quack Quack, being a former ex-president of the USA, being of whom had caused the deaths of 5 persons as a result of developments of January 6th riot or insurrection attempt against the U.S. government, whereas he had incited mob violence to have pro-Trump supporters to attempt to overthrow the government, then that's not likely to happen. You know what I'm saying? Or radicals or whatsoever races or whatever walks of life, factions of society, lifestyle preferences to do that, you know. Yeah, because democracy is the best form of government, you know. And besides all that, eventually that nonsense would catch up with any of the radicals. Imagine if you were to have possibly, become or be one of them, and you know, an unofficial but official edict or order were to be given, the police and the military and doctors and nurses, West and or Saturday West to the police and the military, they're being given orders to shoot to kill. Shoot first, ask questions later, like the old daily, whatchamacallit. And whereas the doctors and nurses are being given their orders saying, if you notice or recognize any radicals, being the likes who have attempted to overthrow the government January 6th of this political calendar year, or could possibly get to know and recognize them later than this person and that person be known already, then you're not to treat them at any medical facility, be it for a hospital or clinic. If they were to possibly become or be injured in the process of, like say, or how you say, from going about with that nonsense January 6th, or should be planning something similar to that negative event. So if I were to be one of the likes of those radicals, you know, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm going to tell you, I would give second as well as serious thought to that, possibly attempting to assault or raid our nation's capital or any government buildings wherever within the continental United States of America. And here it is, this one president, he had incited mob violence, and yet he has been acquitted the second time. You know, really now? I mean, I couldn't believe it, so to speak, but then I could believe it. I was just saying in one of my last social media broadcasts or videos, or for the footnotes thereof, that how he better hope or wish like damn hell that no more Republicans turned against him. Otherwise, from getting kicked out of the White House to being thrown in the slammer in jail, because 5 persons had died as a result of developments of that January 6th incident. You know, I say not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 persons were killed as a result of developments of that insurrectionist attempt to overthrow the U.S. government by assaulting or attacking our nation's capital. You know, so he better not run for another or second, no, or third. Rather, that would be a third try for the presidency of the USA. Remember, because he had won the first time and had done his 4 years. Then he ran the second time, and he lost the presidency. His renewed bid for the White House, and so he better not run a third time in 2024, being that's like 4 years away, and because he may not come off like the Teflon Don, like J.G. John Gotti. You know, remember how that went. The the Teflon Don, Mr. Teflon Don become Mr. Velcro, where before the charges wouldn't stick, and then that last time around they got JG, and that may become or be the case or situation with former ex-president Donald Trump. If he runs in 2024, and yet he wants to put himself in a hot seat again, if he were to absentmindedly do that, like a big retarded clown jerk of a joke. And mind you, as our kissing cousin across the great waters of the Atlantic, been the Brits would say, that had given birth to our own democracy or democratic republic, being for the mother country. When I had said retarded, I was not meaning to offend any of the much more familiar, mentally challenged. At least they have much more, not just more, but much more of a legit, reasonable argument and or excuse for being the way they are. But President Donald Trump, for him to have even so much as to have made fun of the mentally challenged as he had done, that just shows how much his presidency was, you know, mainly or mostly one big joke. Don't get me wrong, there were some things that I liked that he had done or did, and there were other things that I didn't like so much. And here it is, he has gotten acquitted a second time. He should have been doing jail time. But he is like one of the luckiest persons in the world that I myself know to be, you know. So former ex-president Donald Trump, now civilian Mr. Donald Trump, get that money, get that mucho dineros of American monetary financial currency, write a book or get a movie deal. But don't run for the presidency of the United States of America once again for the third time, like saying 2024. I mean, spare us, American citizens and our foreigners. Because if you were not to learn, from the last two impeachment processes, I mean, if you just run for a third political campaign bid for the White House and then get your third impeachment trial, you may as well have not run to begin with a third time, then because that would be retarded, you know, as well as stupid and sick of you. And when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I acted as a child. I understood as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. You, former ex-president, then that passage was from God's Word, the good book, Bible, the basic instruction before leaving earth. We gotta make a reference to salvation and deliverance of Christ, our Lord and Savior. Messiah, deliverer, the rabbi of rabbis, the Lord of lords, King of kings, the Prince of Peace. But then, so I say to you, President, or rather former ex-president Donald Trump, who is now, Mr. Civilian Donald Trump, you should watch some parts of the Notorious B.I.G. or Tupac Shakur auto movie flicks or films, certain parts of both, whereas the black sister that played Notorious B.I.G.'s mom was like saying at the last ending part of that one particular movie flick or film, she was like saying, my boy, what's his name? He grew up and become a man. You need to become a man. President Donald, or former ex-president Donald Trump, now Mr. Civilian Donald Trump, you need to grow up, man. I mean, anytime you have fellow politicians hating you, if not all or some or such. You need to grow up, man. Something's wrong with that picture. Then you're doing a lot of things that's not benefiting the country compared to other things that may be benefiting the country. You need to grow up, man. You need to eat some such major humble pie before you were to run for the presidency again. You know, because you had a lot of people thinking, not all, but a lot of people, American citizens and foreigners like that. You're nothing but a carbon copy of the late Führer of Nazi Germany, Adolf Hitler himself, you know. And you know, us Americans, we prize our democratic ways, our democracy, you know. So you need to grow up, President Donald Trump. But then I'm gonna leave you all with this here, y'all. Okay, if you please, and by saying, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins by recognizing and realizing what He Himself had done and did upon the cross of Calvary, on the hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of some sort of Roman soldiers up on the orders of their superiors, religious and otherwise. But then, nevertheless, he went to that cross of Calvary to become the perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. So that if any of us being a whatsoever races and whatever walks of life, factions, or society lifestyle preferences, being of the old, young alike, of both two sexual genders, of males and females, represent not only that being of the human species, but then nevertheless the global community, where it's post 911 era, but new millennium apocalyptic day and age, and where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes of midnight compared on our former period prior to then. It was at a quarter midnight for these rather biblically prophetic times, word to profess some such faith in Him. From there we become and be blessed and one regard another, more ways to one. First and foremost, with His salvation, then which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly hope to enter into the kingdom of heaven. And second of all, first and foremost, His salvation. All roads do not lead to heaven, Oprah Winfrey. Then second of all, ways He would have blessed us with His deliverance. But first you have got to get His salvation before you can be blessed. I say before you can be blessed in regard. You know what I'm saying? I mean, after all, God is not to be mocked. You could put off His salvation for as long as you think you have so much time, whereas life is nothing but a vapor. It used to be an old saying of here today, gone tomorrow. Now it's here today, gone today. So accept Christ while you still can to become your personal Lord and Savior, so you don't end up in a lake of fire, damn hell, with the rest of the unsaved, unbelievers, and non-believers, to be tortured and terrorized by the devil and demons forever, compared to how across the great divide that separates heaven from hell, you could become or be one of those, being a person's, one of those otherwise, or one of us otherwise, being a person who would have accepted Christ as your own personal Lord and Savior, and being a company of like-minded believers in God as in Christians, aka Protestants, miss some or such other being the presence of God and His angels otherwise as a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. Because people in hell want ice water. So get salvation while you still can, while the blood is still running warm in your veins. Then find out the hard way that hell is hot. Peace.